Hi, so in this video we're going to have a look at how to use Microsoft Loop for work, so let's get straight into it. I'm Gavin Jones, founder and director at MeTime, where we help people get more out of Microsoft 365 or help them save time at work depending on your outlook. If you're interested in working together, then stick around to the end of the video to find out more, or check out some links in the description of this video below. So here we are in Loop. It is a web app and a mobile app at the moment. It's in preview, which I should say, long time coming. I wish Microsoft would just go ahead and release it now. If you want the mobile app, you need to have test flight on your Apple device at least. You can't get it from the App Store just yet at the time of recording. If you watched any of my previous videos on Loop, then Loop Components has been out for a while, but only in Teams chat and in Outlook. This Loop app is then the Loop workspaces and Loop pages, which should make Loop at least a bit more useful than it has been in the past. So we'll go and have a look at that now. Got new videos on Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams coming out every single Tuesday, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified when they come out. So the first thing that you need to get is a workspace, is a collection of pages. I'm sure I'll mention this a few times as we go through. It doesn't now make sense to have Loop and OneNote for me because they're both kind of one and the same thing. I know OneNote's got handwriting support and Loop I don't think does currently, but it would make sense for me if Microsoft merged OneNote and Loop together, but that's just me. So the workspaces at the time of recording are just completely their own sort of entity. You can't use Loop in Teams channel yet, either as a tab or as posting a component. The only thing you can do in Teams is paste a component into chat, which we'll have a look at. But the workspaces, to me, would make sense if they lived inside a Microsoft group or in a Microsoft team, so that everyone already had access to the team or the group had access to the workspace. You can't do that at the time of recording. It's just its own entity with its own sharing. And so we'll just jump into this one to have a look at. So you can create a new one with the little plus icon. We'll just go into getting started at the moment to sort of walk through what's available. So if you've ever used Notion, it's heavily borrowed, I would say, from Notion of what Microsoft have done, where you've got pages down the side, you can have indented pages to keep track of stuff, and you can link components from one page to another page to show the same thing, keep them in sync. And I guess what Microsoft have done is expand that across their entire ecosystem, although only Teams chat and Outlook at the moment, where you can have a component shown up in any app, not just across pages, because obviously Microsoft own more apps than Notion do, and have it all stay in sync wherever you're seeing it, which I guess with great power comes great responsibility. It could be quite confusing if everyone doesn't know that they're live and updating and it's going to show up somewhere else, especially if you've got a customer presentation that's has got something in LinkedIn and you're typing into it. But if you ever use Notion, it's going to look very similar. So you can have a little cover at the top and a little emoji to go with it. And then this sort of getting started workspace sort of walks you through everything that Loop can do at the moment. So it's got a little YouTube video for you to watch. If we jump on to check the basics page, I've been playing around with this before already. Here's some steps to get started. So the main building blocks are, you can sort of click in a line and make a bit of space, and it just says just start typing. Sometimes it says type / to insert and @ to find things. So if we type /, that's where you're adding in building blocks of that page. It's just sort of stuff going down the page, so you can't arrange things to the right and left or anything like you would do in a SharePoint page, although you might start to see some overlaps with usage as I go through the video perhaps. But you can have whatever heading you want, a table. Sorry, my camera's in the way of the screen whilst we're recording, so I can't see everything, like checkboxes, bulleted lists, numbers, stuff that might help you divide up the page but maybe not that useful. Then probably more usefully, then you've got like templates, which are task lists, voting table, progress tracker at the moment, and then communication person appears here, which also appears under that when you do an @, but files doesn't. That's only under @, which I'm not sure whether they just put in one list. So obviously you can just do a heading and just say this is the heading. When you just start typing, it's sort of the body of text, and each line is its own sort of component, so you can like drag it and drop it underneath. And then when I come on to like sharing components, you can either share one specific line even that you can turn into a component, create a loop component of that line, or you can highlight the entire line and create a loop component of everything you've highlighted, and that's where you'd share it and people can keep in sync with what's going on. So if we've got the headings, I was messing about with headings there, and the other one is at. So if you start typing at, you can at mention people and pick from your recent files. So if we go ahead, I'm the only one in my organization at the moment. So if I go ahead and do at Gavin Jones, you can't get rid of the last name like you can in Teams. Again, this is a preview, so if anyone from Microsoft is watching this, that would be nice that you could do that. Also, like other at mention or modern commenting across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, the notifications when you do an at mention send you an email, which has been a bugbear. So at mention only came along really with Slack in the workplace. Microsoft Teams borrowed stuff from Slack, and so the first time that at mentioning was available in the Microsoft ecosystem was in Teams, although they then later brought it into email, where you get a slightly bigger prompt in your inbox if someone at mentioned you in an email. So for me, at mentions is synonymous with Teams. Most of the work I do is trying to get people out of internal email and fully embraced into Teams, so there's one way of doing stuff and one place to do it, which can free up multiple hours per person per week if you even just get that little bit right, as well as all the other stuff you do to help organizations. And so having comments where you can at mention people, so this is the same in Excel, Word, PowerPoint, you can at mention people in that document. It intuitively would want that to appear as a notification in Teams, but it doesn't. It sends an email into your inbox, which you then need to go and do something with. And same with Loop. Even me at mentioning myself, which I don't think PowerPoint does. If I mention myself, then it knows that I don't need to get a notification. I'll get an email from Loop saying I've been at mentioned in this page. So useful if you want to bring people into that page or whatever you're talking about, and the notifications presumably would then appear in Loop as well if it was from somebody else. So notifications about at mentions, assigned tasks, invites, and conversations that you're part of will be shown here. So you can tag people, you can put files in. So here's one I did earlier, which just gives you like, not even like a real preview of the file, but just a big sort of card. If I click on it, it's going to jump me out into the web app of Word because it's a Word document. And obviously this is in preview. I did get some feedback about this already. Hopefully Microsoft fixed this. If I type because I want to put a file in, because I've been in Loop, all of my recent files are Loop pages, but I haven't actually even done anything to most of these. I've just gone and looked at them. If I click on files, I would then expect something to show me all of my files, or at least all my recent files, but it doesn't. It just shows me the last 5 Loop pages. So quite quickly, any PowerPoint file that I wanted to share in that page, I can't get back to, and I can't go and pick from my OneDrive or anything, so I need to go and find that link and paste it in, which is suboptimal, at least. When I first started using it, I was able to do an at. This was one of the files I looked at recently, and I could put an at mention and put a file in there. So this one already has tasks in already, which you can see I added a task for myself. Does this sync to do or planner? And the answer is this syncs to planner, which is better than I thought it'd be. I thought it wouldn't go anywhere at all. So if we jump into my planner, it's useful that it goes somewhere. It's useful that it goes somewhere. So because it's in my planner, planner also syncs with to do. Tasks by planner and to do in Teams shows you both of those. And if you've got the to do app open all the time, which I do because that's where I do my tasks from, it will appear in the assigned to you bit of planner, and also if you put a date on it, flag up from a notification from to do when it's time for you to do it, or appear in your planned or my day lists if you're using to do your task list. So at least it goes somewhere in the Microsoft ecosystem. That's good. The bad bit, going back to what I was saying before, is because the workspace is completely separate from anything else in the Microsoft ecosystem. So the only way for me to get other people into this getting started workspace, or whatever workspace I've created, is to share access to all pages with this workspace, getting started. I click that and I need to invite people one by one rather than just inviting like YouTube team. So, or what's it called, testing for YouTube. The only thing I can do is invite someone by their email, or if they're internal to the company, by their name. So if we're able to link that whole workspace to a team, and then say, whenever I do a task thing, I want it to go into this specific planner, maybe the default one that gets set up when you set a team up, say, or you can have multiple plans in each team. The way Microsoft does it in the background, at the moment at least, it seems to be, is created a new plan from that workspace. So all of the tasks that I put in my loop workspace go into a planner with one bucket that just says tasks that appear there, which will then appear in my to-do because I've been assigned to it. But if I already had a planner in a team, so say that I had a loop to do with making content, I've got a plan that helps me sort of Kanban my content creation, like for YouTube channels, across recording, to edit, to publish, to review. If I made a task in loop, then it doesn't appear in my content plan. It just appears in the loop one that it's set up, which could be better. Could be better. At least it goes somewhere. So yeah, you can make a little task list that's in the page. Here's one that was, just a checkbox add-in, which was already there. So we can add that by doing a slash and checklist, and then whatever you want and check them off. Again, this is all co-editable, like live co-authoring, so multiple people could edit the same page at the same time and from multiple places. And because each line, like I say, each line is its own sort of component, you can have a chat about any single line or any bit of text on the entire page. So there's me trying out a comment. I can add a comment just to this one line, so you can put an emoji on it, which sort of breaks up the formatting a little bit, if you were bothered about that. And you put a comment in, and I think you can mention from the comments as well. And it's even let me put a file in here, which is just a link. So maybe that text was about a file. I can now mention the file, and it actually popped up files then and didn't just show me loop ones, which was interesting. I can add another comment and mention myself. So rather than changing the body of the text, you can put comments in about the text in whatever context it is. Like it says, you can select any text to format it, which is fine. You can mention to do a local file. You can hold these icons to sort of drag and drop content, and the checkboxes don't need to live in the same list. They can split apart from each other. So we could put that one right under tasks, say, the tasks header at least. And then it says click the round button in the sidebar to add a page or a link. So if I do a new link, it's asking me to just link to an existing page or file. So I need to go and get the link for that file rather than having a list of files to go and attach. And I can have a whole new page if I wanted to. And so here's it's like creating a new page. So you can add the cover, add the icon, add the title, and then add all the content you want. And it's got templates that might help you as well. So if you click on it, it gives you a preview of what that template is going to be. So this one's got goals, so team members and when they're working. So you can obviously mention them and get the hover over and see more about them, linking to the Microsoft Graph. Project deliverables, so that's the task one that we just looked at, and then some relevant links. Team decision, just showing you some more, using more emojis in the text, some bulleted lists, some tables, and some pictures. Project planning, and meeting notes. So meeting notes is interesting because Microsoft of getting rid of Wiki. The meeting notes in Teams at the moment uses Wiki to make meeting notes when you're in a meeting. So when you create a new channel, it creates a OneNote for you to put notes in, whatever notes you want instead of Wiki. When you create a new meeting and do meeting notes, Microsoft have announced that meeting notes is going to be powered by Loop, which is good, but then it seems odd that you've got notes separate to meeting notes because most of your notes are going to be from meetings presumably. So it's interesting how Microsoft are going to bridge those two together. Like I say at the start, it would be better, in my opinion, if Loop and OneNote were the same app. Obviously, they've got the handwriting thing to get over, so probably that won't happen. They'll just feign that one's for one thing and one's for another, which it's not really. So you can add a page, you can have indented pages. So this one's showing you how to create a component, which is what I've already done here. So we can create a component that's just that one line, and it sort of whizzes round, and then we can look at where this has been shared already. It's only in just right here. We can copy the component, or we can see who has access. Now, if we copy that component, it's opening up the usual sort of sharing tray, but the default is people in the organization with the link can view it, so we can sort of paste it anywhere. So if we copy that and then go and stick it in Teams, say, if I go into Teams channel, just to show you, I've done this one before, obviously, if I paste the link there, it just gives me a text link and doesn't do anything. If I click it, it's going to jump out into the web app and just go to that page. If I go into chat and paste the link, then that's when it's going to sync. It says people in your organization with a link can edit, which you can sort of change there. So people currently in this chat, so you know that if they then share it on, then opening up permissions. So there is a bit of thought and nuance to like opening up permissions of Loop components, given that you can edit it from anywhere. You could end up with people that you don't want access to have it, changing it, and it changes it, everywhere, all the way through back to your original page. Or thinking in the future, if you'd put that component into a Word document, it would change it in the Word document. So some things that might be a little bit dangerous if not everyone understands. So we'll share that in the chat. Obviously, it's just a chat with me, but if I change it here, and I can even, do the same formatting that I had done in Loop. So say we make it bold and yellow. Then if we flip back to Loop, it's already changed there. It's like literally live editing, synced everywhere. And you can see we only shared that one line, so it's done quite a big block around and sort of messed up our formatting beneath it. We can add stuff that's going to be in that component, or we can share a component that's all of that text, but we can't now include that one that we've already shared, which is interesting, because that's already a component on its own. So if someone made a component out of that one line, and actually we want to share all 3 lines, doesn't look like we can do that at the moment. We'd have to sort of retype the line, and I'm not sure if you can uncomponent something. That's not in the in the help. So if anyone knows, then let me know in the comments below. But just to give you an example, you could highlight that line, or you could highlight lots of lines of text across the page, or you could make a component out of that entire page. So we could share Loop component of that entire page, and that's making the entire page a component. And again, if we go and copy that and stick it into Teams, you can then see that entire page, including the separate component that we had at the top. So if I highlight that there and go over, you should be able to see that the other version of me has highlighted that text. So you can see, like you would in Word or Excel or PowerPoint, other people's cursors working on the same thing at the same time. You can see now that that's the entire page that we've shared. Like I said, it would be useful if we could paste that page as a tab in a team. That's not out yet. Hopefully Microsoft are working on that, because that seems the most useful thing that you could do with Loop and Teams. So how to use Microsoft Loop for work? Well, if you follow any of the guidance that we say at MeTime, you should have a very simplified architecture across Microsoft 365 with hopefully one large team for the majority of your organization, and channel to split stuff down, and file structure that's quite simple, that everyone can find everything where they need to go, and then use the tabs across the team to keep track of stuff that you need for that individual area of the business or process or project or whatever you want to delineate it by. And so it makes sense that then if you've done all of that work, that you would replicate loop workspaces to be the same thing. So I'd say if you've got a team or a channel, you should have a workspace for each team or for each channel. And obviously this is in preview, so it depends how Microsoft are going to integrate that into Teams. It might, that guidance might change. We can't do that right now, so I'm kind of just guessing how that will integrate. But it makes sense that you would have the same sort of wrapper in Loop that you would in Teams. It makes sense to have a workspace for the whole team, depending on how complicated your team is, and invite the same people you'd have to do right now, and then have a page maybe for each channel, for each project, and you can have sub pages, so you could structure it that way, and use Loop to collaborate on stuff, use it like a notes app, maybe use it for meeting notes ahead of that coming into Teams fully. But like I say, the benefit of Loop, which isn't fully realized yet, is that you can share stuff across instances, domains, however you want to think about it, across apps or across anything, and it all stays in sync together. So we've just showing components from Loop to Teams, which is not that useful yet because you have to put it in a chat, but you can share components anywhere. So if you had a multiple thing across pages, if you had, say you had a Loop page for sales and you had a Loop page for marketing, and actually it was something that marketing were working on but sales wanted input, you wouldn't need to decide where to have it anymore. You could just have the same component in both, and it stays in sync. It's one and the same thing. So let's just do that. So say we've got a sales page and a marketing page, and marketing have got a calendar of stuff which they've put in. One thing that I didn't show that's quite cool, what I think is quite cool, is the progress tracker, which is a table, or you can get the same sort of thing if you do a label. So you can pick from these and then customize them, but say we want this something to show that this table is actually stuff that's not started or in progress, or you can sort of add option and say ideation, say marketing speak, and everything underneath that you can see by eye is just to do with that one, and then you could change it maybe, or you could put that on the table as well. So we've got this progress tracker and brand launch X, that's me doing everything. Progress, you see this where the progress is in a table, so we'll say it's in progress. Do a due date. Blockers is you can add in a checkbox within the table, so that's pretty cool. And then so we want to make that header and that box all a component. So we create a component, copy that, and then we're going to stick that in the sales page. So obviously the page could have a lot more stuff in, some information about sales, new starters, how to do sales, some videos, and marketing could have more stuff about marketing and the brand's campaigns and whatever. But for this particular thing, we want both teams to see what's going on and be able to feed into it. So we could have a blocker on the someone in sales could say, actually, customer Y does not want this. So that might be a blocker to launch if there's not enough volume to go ahead and get those initial orders done. And then if we jump back to marketing, without sales leaving their own page, bear in mind this could be embedded quite deep because you can have multiple embedded pages. If we go into marketing, that's all in sync and sort of live updating wherever you're accessing it from. So yeah, you can have multiple embedded pages. So we can create a new sub page, and I think you can have, I've not got to the limit, but you can have multiply embedded sub pages. I don't know how deep it goes, but say that was all collapsed, you wouldn't expect then someone to go through into an area that they're not in to then go and find the page. You could just link whatever you need from that page into another page that's just relevant for them, which is sort of an example of what we're doing in the sales and marketing pages. So hopefully that gives you some examples of how you can use Microsoft Loop for work right now if you want to get ahead of the game. It is in preview. I think you just need to go through, search for Microsoft Loop on Google, and go through and sign up. I think you can sign up with a personal account straight away and just get access to it. If you want to use it with your organization account, you need your IT admin to have done something in the admin center, which might be a blocker for you, but if you're in a small organization, then they might just go ahead and do it for you. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Is Loop going to be useful for you? What do you think? Do you think Microsoft needs to do some more work before it's going to be useful? Let me know in the comments below. So before you go, remember to give the video a like if you liked it, click subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified every time a new video comes out for free. If you want to support the channel, there's a number of ways to do that now in the link in the description below if you just want to keep watching these videos on YouTube. And if you need more help either for yourself or for your organisation, I've got a couple of ways we can help now. So one is some end user courses that you can go and sign up for in the description below. There's probably a little money off code in there as well if you check hard enough. And if you need help for your whole organisation, it's probably worth it just having a chat. So click the book a call link in the description below and we can see if we can help your whole organisation work in a more modern way. Thanks for watching so far, and I'll see you in the next one.